Here we go.
It was Halloween 2012, my senior year of high school. I went to a Catholic school, so we always had the day off after Halloween because it was considered a church holy day. So my friends were game to start our weekend early. On nights where we didn't go to parties, we usually do the same thing. We sit on my front steps for a couple of hours and joke around. Then we would walk the neighborhood and usually end up at this shitty pizza place across town because the prices were so cheap. Since a few of us had recently broken up with our girlfriends, we weren't in much of a
Oh,
hurry.
yes.
So
Y'all gonna do reckless shit.
It's around 10:30 at night, and the pizza joint is closing up for the night. There were three of us: me, my friend Pat, and my friend Jack.
Pat and
Finish our
Jack.
food, refill our drinks, and head out.
This neighborhood, this is
To get
Detroit.
back to my house, we had to cross this large mall parking lot that's about 4 football fields long and 2 wide.
Damn.
I should mention at this point that we
Yeah.
were dumb, naive kids. We all had grown up in the city and had our fair share of urban experiences.
Oh, so you're street
All
smart.
three of us were pretty streetwise and were confident on the street by ourselves.
That don't matter,
Experienced
boy.
Something this night that we were totally unprepared for. So we're walking through this parking lot and it's absolutely desolate. Not a soul in sight. Suddenly we see a white tradesman van creeping slowly behind
Oh,
us, about
pedophiles.
100 yards back. I know the old white van cliche, but I swear it's a real story. I pointed out to my friend.
Wait, didn't he say they was
"Pick up the
seniors?
pace." We popped the collars on our jackets and we hunch our shoulders out to make us seem a lot bigger than what we were.
That don't work.
In an instant, the van speeds up and cuts off our path.
Oh boy, run in the opposite
van is
direction.
pitch black, so we can't
Run
see anyone.
in opposite direction.
That's when someone calls out in a non-threatening voice. Hey man, happy Halloween. You guys like Halloween?
No,
Despite the jovial manner in which this was said,
I mean I do, but
a van doesn't cut you off in a parking lot unless it had bad intentions.
yeah. What the
We
fuck?
had nowhere to go. We could run, but they're in a van. They would
So
catch
what?
you easily, and we'd have to turn our
You
backs.
you cut through houses, cut through
He
yards.
says it again. Hey man, you guys like Halloween? I respond trying to sound tough. Yeah, but it's over now, alright? So we're heading home and you're on our way.
Ooh,
Nah, dude, it ain't over. We still got tons of candy in here.
man,
The tone suddenly shifted and still we can't see
you
anything.
got tons of candy in here.
Three of us puff our chest out, get ready for a fight. After a brief silence that felt
That's
like
why you
it
carry a
dragged on for
knife.
hours, Jack cuts the tension by sternly saying, "Hey, listen up, man. I don't know what you think you're about to do, but if you don't leave, it's gonna be a problem." Once he said
He's like, oh, it's gonna be a
the back
problem.
door of the van swung open, and two very tall men stepped out.
Mm.
They had black suits on with black leather gloves, and were well built and strong looking.
Look like they gonna
Most
beat our
menacing
asses.
was that they were both wearing these cheap Mitt Romney masks. That's when we realized
Mitt Romney.
this wasn't a Halloween prank. At that moment, all three of us
This
wanted
some
to take off.
Oregon harvester
But the
type
van
shit.
started driving circles around us. We had no idea how we were going to get out of this situation.
They were waiting for somebody to walk
I
through this
had no
parking
idea
lot.
what these guys were planning to do with three 18-year-old men. But they seemed like
Yeah, they
were
grown ass men.
and we were all getting ready for the fight of our lives. The van stopped, and it looked like they were about to make a move. This was it. I mentioned that there was three of us that night. It was at this moment that our friend Pat, the one who had stayed silent up to this point, leaned in to the both of us and quietly said, "Hey, this is a Hail Mary, but get ready to fucking run when I say go, alright?" He then picked up one of our sodas, which was in a cup, and threw it with all his might at the driver's side window.
Oh,
The window was open, and the cup miraculously
I
connected
thought
with the
he
driver's
was gonna pull out a gun.
Pat screamed run, and we took off across the parking lot. The van swilled off in the other direction, and we hurried our asses home. Jack and I were both confused as to why a simple cup of soda got them to give up their plans. Then we found out what actually happened. While we were panicking, Pat kept his cool. He nonchalantly dumped out the drink that was in his hand and slipped a big ass rock into the cup.
Oh,
Then he waited for the right moment.
I was
The
thinking
driver
that too. I was
that
like,
this kid
they
just
just
threw a
gave up.
drink at him wound up getting pegged in the head with a rock. It probably knocked him out cold, or at least brought us enough time to put some distance between us. All that was left after that was pulling off a miracle and getting the rock to hit. Maybe a guardian angel or a guide.
The dude got an arm on.
I'm still amazed by it. But moral of the story, kids, don't panic when you're in a tight spot. If you lose your cool,
That's easier said than done. I almost got fucked up. No, you done fucked up, right? You gotta get out of the van. You know you fucked up, right?
Female living in Colorado, and Halloween is by far my favorite time of the year. But one Halloween stands out in my mind that I'll never forget, and it's not for the right reasons. It was 2007, and I was about 17 years old. Once it got dark, I met up with a few of my friends, Brittany, Rick, Curtis, and Micah. We were walking around a trailer park, smoking weed, taking shots, and just having a good time. We must have been walking for about 20
Being
minutes.
fucking
We
delinquents.
came up on this group of guys that were smoking a meth pipe. Just
Oh, fuck.
we just walked straight past them.
Yeah, just don't
We
even
wanted them to
associate
okay
with them.
as
No,
loud as possible.
don't look at them.
We all stopped and turned around. And Curtis said,
Of
"Yeah."
course.
One of the guys asked in a demanding voice, "Want to give me a hit of what you got there?"
The
Curtis
hell
held up
no.
the roach. We just finished smoking, and he said, "Sorry, man. We just finished it off." They didn't reply. They just turned away from
You
us.
smoking meth?
Suddenly, one
Why
of
you
them
gonna
turned
smoke
around
weed?
and asked for $5.
Oh, fuck, of
Curtis
course.
responded, "Sorry, man, I'm broke." The guy gave a really weird smile, baring his crooked yellow teeth, but his eyes were dead and cold. It was
Give
very
me
unsettling,
$5.
clearly a forced smile. He then said, "Oh, all right. You guys have a good night." We turned back and started walking away.
You asking for weed, then you asking for money. The fuck
Then
that is?
again, they were on hard drugs. We walked for about a minute.
Like, you got meth. Isn't that
A bunch
more
of people
expensive
running up
than
behind
weed?
us. It was Halloween at that time, so there was a lot of people everywhere. But it was that group of people again,
Oh,
and they were
fuck.
coming up fast. We bolted down the road, and everyone ran off in different directions.
Scattered.
Jumped a few fences and hid inside a random person's shed. My heart was beating so hard I thought it was about to explode. I waited about 20 minutes, slowly opened the shed, and peered out. I didn't see anyone, so I started to look for my friends. Found Brittany and Rick. We looked around for Curtis and Micah. Curtis' phone was dead, and Micah wasn't answering.
Oh, boy.
We finally found Curtis. One of those psychos stabbed him in the leg
Oh.
with his wallet, and his jeans were soaked in blood. We called 911 right away. Then we found Micah laying on the sidewalk. She could barely get up, and she told us that two of the guys jumped her and beat her, as well as stealing her money from her pocket.
Oh, damn.
For reference, Micah is about 115 pounds and 5'1".
Oh, damn.
It disgusts me to think that full-grown men were so high that they thought it was okay to beat up an innocent
Yeah,
small girl.
they don't fucking care.
It definitely ruined one of my favorite holidays, and I still think about it.
Yeah, I should have stuck together.
If a random group of people ever call out to you, just keep walking.
Well, keep an eye on them,
Always
too.
carry a taser, pepper spray, just any weapon.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You
saying.
never know what kind of weirdo.
I have me a knife and a retractable baton on me. I would carry my sword, even though it ain't sharp, but I was swinging hard enough to cut something off. And I even walk with a cane sometimes when I go walking at night.
I'm a girl, and this happened when I was about 9 years old. At the time,
Damn,
I
you
loved this
young as
street in
shit.
the neighborhood.
There's got to be some
This was
pedophile
short-lived
shit.
because by then, my neighborhood wasn't exactly safe anymore. That year, which was 1992, I attended a church Halloween party. There were many kids that I recognized from school and from nearby areas.
Oh, how was I
I
92?
dressed up in a little devil costume that year,
6?
complete with paste on horns and, you know, the usual. Yeah, a little bold for a church party, but several other kids were dressed as devils, and I saw many girls dressed as witches. The party host, who I'll call Father Francis, stood greeting everyone. I remember he was dressed like a version of Captain Hook. Every kid
Thought he
attended
said
got
a
gift
virgin
bags to
of
the door
Captain.
from Father Francis. For some reason, every kid who was dressed up as a witch
Oh,
or
that's a
devil
nice street.
got a baggie of homemade cookies. They looked like sugar cookies, with powdered sugar dusting the tops. The party was great
Oh
fun.
no, is that
I was eager to
anthrax?
get home and try a cookie. Father Francis had told us not to eat the cookies there because he said it's our little secret. I saw nothing sinister at the time, but looking back, something seemed weird and wrong.
It's
When I
anthrax.
got home, I decided to try one the next day. I remember finally trying a cookie. I almost immediately spat it out in the garbage. It tasted really bad, and the powdered sugar was bitter tasting. My mom noticed my reaction and asked to try one. Her reaction was identical to mine. She demanded to know where I've gotten these from. I told her Father Francis had given me a bag of them. Grabbing the bag, she inspected the cookies. She smelled the bag, making a suspicious face, and then she tasted the powdered sugar. Her eyes
Was it
widened. She
cocaine?
practically hurled the bag of cookies into the trash. Don't eat those, honey, alright? Those are bad.
No, go to the police with those.
As this was a Saturday, we had no way of alerting fellow classmates or friends. Monday, I learned the worst had happened. 16 children, all who had been given a bag of cookies, had been hospitalized for contamination. We learned the powdered sugar was in fact ant chalk. Of the 16
ant chalk.
children that got sick, 2 died because they'd eaten a whole bag of cookies.
Damn, how you eat that
Thankfully, I never got sick
if it
because
tastes
I
bad?
only bitten one, but never swallowed it. Father Francis ended up going to prison for 20 years for his involvement.
That's it.
He claimed in his defense he was doing God's work by ridding
Oh.
the world of evil. He turned out to be an evil man who felt no pity for the children who got
They're
sick
using the
or the
God
children that
excuse.
sadly died. I heard as they hauled him off to prison, he kept screaming, "I did God's work. I'm a tool of God. I did nothing wrong."
Well, them people in prison gonna be doing God's work too.
From then on, I never attended another church party of any kind. My
They
trust
found
in
out
those
that you,
kids was pretty
uh,
much destroyed.
That you did that to kids.
I also have almost never accepted baked goods from others again. I kept thinking, what if I had been one of those who had eaten a full bag? Chances are I've been hospitalized too, or much worse. The moral of the story is, be careful of anything you accept from others,
Yeah,
even if they're a person of cloth.
that's crazy. Like, because he said it tasted bitter. Is it? I wonder. Is it because he waited until the next day to eat it? Damn. It's oh, I was like, it's almost a minute. Like, if it tasted bitter, I wouldn't keep eating something if it's bitter. Like, I mean, a cookie, and I'm assuming that, oh, it's sweet, and the powdered sugar on it, and the stuff that looks like powdered sugar on it is sweet. If I bite into it and it's bitter, I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna immediately think, oh, somebody trying to poison me, like. But I'm not gonna fucking sit up here and eat a whole bag. Oh, but maybe they'll taste better. Like, hey, what? Like that made, like, I mean, I know these are kids, but still, even then, like, kids, young, like, I remember being a kid, and I had no filter. Like, I ate something, I was like, this tastes bad. Like, oh, I don't like this. Like, I just say it out loud. I don't like this. Like, my niece, she was over here today. My brother brought her over here after he got off work and brought her over here, and they stopped it as at Clover's, the fast food place down up the street, and she was eating like some chicken nuggets or chicken strips or what. I think it's chicken strips. I don't think they had chicken nuggets, and she like really didn't eat that stuff. And I was like, why? I was talking. I said, you don't like it? She like, I said, do you not like it, or you just don't want it anymore? Like, you full? She's like, I don't like it. I said, why don't you? I said, did you ask for that? And she's like, no. I said, then why did you tell Dad what you wanted? Yeah, but she, I know, because she like to eat just sweets. And we tell her, you can't eat just sweets. Yeah, you got to eat something else. Now, that was just because he was driving. But they cook meals. And because his girlfriend uh, is a chef. Well, she's a pastry chef. That she has a degree in that. But she can cook, food, regular food. And my niece, all she wants is sweet stuff. Like, she want popsicle, she want ice cream, anything that's like every other. When she comes over here, I had some candy in a box in here once. She came in here and I gave her, because she saw the box. I was like, what's that? And I was like, it's candy. And she said, can I have some? And I gave her a bag of, because it was like the individual bag. They're like those little fruit snacks. And the gummy fruit snacks. And I gave it to her. And that was when she was 2. She's 4, getting ready to turn 5 next year, beginning of next year. She still, every time that she comes over, even times I watch her, she's over here, and her sister, she asks for candy. She like associates me with candy now. And then when I tell her I don't have any candy, she goes, what's that box on your bed? And I was like, it's a phone box. And because it has a cell phone, and another phone box. And she's like, is it candy in there? I'm like, no. I got a little refrigerator in my room now that I got from my dad's house. And she's like, what's in there? I'm like, nothing. And she's like, is it candy in there? I was like, no, there's no candy in there. Because I was like, now I just rolled my eyes. Like, I don't have any candy. Like, her name's Ivy. I don't have any candy. And she just associated me with candy. Like, anything. And then I buy like some cookies or something. She did that she just say candy. She associated that like, because it's sweet. And I'm like, you gotta eat regular food. And she's like, why? I had told her that you gotta eat, some regular stuff, to keep, so you be, keep your immune system. Because like she had strep throat recently. And, very recently, like a few days ago. She's kind of over it now. But she gave it to her sister. And her younger sister. And I was like, you gotta eat some, regular food. I was like, that's fast food, but it's better than just eating like popsicles and ice cream. Like, you can't just eat that. Can't just give you that. She's like, why? I said, because it's not good for you. It's refined sugar. And she was like, yeah, but an apple isn't. She said, but you can eat an apple. And apple's sweet. I was like, yeah, but that's that's fructose, like sugar. And she looked at me like what? I said, it's sweet, but it's not like the same. It's not like refined sugar, like in that stuff, and like, cookies and popsicles and stuff like that. I said, this sugar is. I said, you shouldn't eat too many of these either, but it's better for you than just eating that. He'll say, because your teeth fall out, your skin will be bad. I'm just naming. Like your immune system be weak. I'm just naming off shit. And she was like, but what the doctor said, because my brother took her to the doctor when he found out. That's how he found out she had strep throat. And she said the doctor said that a popsicle, might help soothe her throat. Which, I mean, I've had that, like, when I've had strep throat about 3 or 4 times in my life. I've had other things where it fucked up my throat too. But well, yeah, like I had doctors say like ice cream kind of soothes your throat, or popsicle, stuff like that, like cold stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I said, but you can't eat that all the time. I said, you gotta eat regular food sometimes. She just like she kind of like she said that kind of like okay, like I'm not gonna do it though. My brother was so mad because she would not eat that food. He's like, you better eat that food. I bought that food, but he said she asked for that. So I'm like, you because you asked for that, you don't eat it. Well, she does that. She asked for shit, and like I made her stuff before. Like I made she has her pancakes and eggs. I made her pancakes and eggs. She ate like a few bites of it and just stopped. And I was like, I looked at her like, girl, you don't know how good you got. If I would have did that with my dad, which I have done it with my dad, like I ain't just stopped. Like I remember my dad made me sit and eat because I don't like cauliflower. I can kind of eat it now, but with other things. But when I was young, I just really hated the taste of cauliflower. And my dad, I remember once, I think I was 5, maybe 6, based on from where we were living at the time. He told me, I said that I ate everything on the plate except the cauliflower. I even ate the broccoli. Yeah, because he had broccoli, cauliflower, and I think it was chicken or something like that. Something, mac and cheese or something. And that cauliflower was still on that plate. My dad said, you will not get enough from this table until you eat that cauliflower. He said, if I come in here and you throwing it in the garbage, he's going to beat your ass. This is like we said. I sat there for, I know, over an hour, just sitting there with just cauliflower on the goddamn plate. And my genius thing, which something that I started doing later on in life, when like when I would eat stuff that I didn't particularly like, my dad made, I would just eat it with something else that I did like. Like it was like, oh, when I was really, I wasn't that much of a fan of broccoli. I would eat it, but I didn't really like it. Sometimes I would leave quite a bit of it on the plate, but I would mix it with like the mac and cheese or rice, or eat it with the chicken or whatever else I'm eating, steak or whatever, to kind of mask the taste of it. So I would eat it. But at this point, I wasn't doing that, and I just sat there, and I was like, I got tired of sitting there, but I was like, I can't just throw it. I know my dad will look in the trash if I just throw this away. Luckily, everybody else had eaten too. So I'm sitting there, so I get up. My dad walked out and went in the living room, watched TV. Because I remember I went out and like looked to see if he was in the, and took the plate, threw it in the trash. But it was like, bones, and because I guess we ate chicken and other stuff in there. And I took it with my hand and just turned like this and put like garbage on top of it. And like just pressed it down. And then went and washed my hands, washed off my plate stuff, and then went and walked. And I walked out the room, walked out the kitchen. My dad was like, he just looked at me. As soon as I walked in, he turned and looked at me. And I went upstairs. And when I was going up the stairs, I see my dad get up and walk in the kitchen. And I don't know if he looked in the trash or not, but I bet he looking in the trash. Then I see, but I went through a lot to make sure that he couldn't tell anyway. But yeah, like you gotta be careful out here in these streets. You gotta carry a weapon. Like either if you got a gun, concealed carry, then hey, I mean that works. But if you don't have that, I would say at least carry a knife on you, or a retractable baton, or just a baton, something like taser, pepper spray, something. Because especially if because you never know. Because you like, oh, I'm going. I walk this way all the time, and it's never been a problem for you. You could do it for years, but just this one time, it'd be some new people walking around, and they might know like, oh, these people aren't used to, people robbing them. up here. It's just like in Chicago, up in River North, where all the white folks at, or people who got money. So the city pump all they got their money over there. Where that pandemic hit, people started losing their jobs. And some people was getting evicted before they, the government started stopping people from getting evicted. But even then, because then, like, well, you still got to pay. It wasn't like a freeze on their rent. It was you got to pay this back. when you start making, when they stopped the freeze, but then you better have a job. But people started going up there, and people starting to rob them people up there in River North. They be up there downtown and up there robbing them wealthier people. And it's funny because now the mayor was like, and other people like from that area, the police force from those areas are like, oh, we need to come together and figure out a way like to stop this crime that's been increasing in the city since the pandemic stuff. I'm like, that's funny. Now you want everybody to come together and try to solve this. Why is the crime increasing in the city and what we can do about it? Which the city already increased the police budget to hire like 500 more cops, some shit like that. So I'm like, which is they did not stopping the crime, but they just throwing more police at it. Which what's that fucking? I think his name was not Mitt Romney. I forget the mayor who was the mayor of Chicago before Mayor Lightfoot. But he did that same thing. Just throw more cops at the situation. And that's not working. You taking money and out of districts and closing schools and stuff like that, and just trying to force people to go to different schools that are further away out of where they live at. But then you just and the crime rate start going up. And you we'll just throw more cops at the situation. Like, that shit ain't working. And then now this mayor's doing it. And now they now because these people going up in these white areas, I know it sounds racial, but that's what a lot of white people are up in those areas. And they have more money in those areas. That people going up there robbing. And now you want everybody to come together now. But when they were just robbing down in the west, south, and east side, more so on the west and south side, you ain't had no problem with that. You ain't say shit. You weren't saying nothing. Now they up there robbing you, motherfucker. And they're like, oh, this is like I've seen on news, on the local Chicago news. Oh, this is unprecedented. Like people, the people just robbing, or like when people be going in them stores, like a big mass of people. That's happened a few times downtown, with a big mass of people. I think it was like 50. They went in the store and just started grabbing shit. And it's like, and now that it's happening in these areas where the tourists go, or more tourists go, now you want everybody from all over Chicago to come together and try to figure this out. But South Side of Chicago been having this problem for years, and the West Side too. And ain't nobody been saying nothing about it. The people in those places have been saying stuff and doing protests and meetings and stuff like that in those areas. I know people people in Chicago don't care about it. But people, it's funny, people say that don't live here and probably never been here, or maybe on vacation. You know what the fuck they talking about, Because there's plenty of people that go to those things. Like my cousin, he's organized a lot. They'll help organize a lot of that stuff, meetings, and trying to figure out how can we. Because he said just putting cops on the street is not solving the core problem. That's not what's gonna solve it. I know that. That's not gonna solve the problem. Just putting cops on the street, because now you just stopping them after the fact and putting them in jail. And then some people was now you want to get everybody together when you used to have a problem when it was just on our side of the city. Ain't hear nothing from you. You ain't even want to be involved in nothing. But now it's happening over there now. You want everybody to band together and try to figure this out. And they're like, all right. And of course, we like, all right, because now people might actually get their voices heard. It might actually change something now that the problem is affecting, the tourists, the tourist attraction, where the tourists go, or where the wealthier people are at. Anyway, I done got off on a tangent. Sorry, I'm drinking a little bit, so I'm kind of getting off. But anyway, hope you enjoyed my reaction. And if you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're here. Hit that bell. You'll be notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below. Share this video. I'll see you next time. Peace.